Burraco is normally played in two pairs with 108 French cards or two decks. It is played with all cards including jokers. The game is played clockwise. The dealer shuffles the cards. The player to the right of the dealer cuts the cards and with the newly raised deck prepares two 11-card decks by taking them from the bottom. The decks are arranged on top of each other and the remaining cards are placed covered in the center of the table. Meanwhile, the dealer deals 11 cards to each player in a clockwise direction by finally placing one uncovered card on the table and the remaining ones on top of the player who made the wells. In the game, each player must on his turn make a choice. He can either draw from the deck in the center of the table or collect the entire discard mountain, that is all the discards that are on the table. After drawing or collecting, he can cast combinations and or attach cards to the combinations of his own pair, and at the end he will have to discard a card. The combinations that can be dropped are 3 cards of the same suit in a straight, or at least 3 cards of the same value indifferently of any suit, which means that one can drop trios or poker, but also combinations formed by 5 cards or 6 cards as long as they all have the same value, so one can also drop poker formed by 2 aces of clubs and 2 aces of spades. Mats are defined as jokers, and the 2 in the deck to form combinations can also be used. Combinations of 3 or more jokers cannot be dropped. In each combination, no more than 1 joker can be used. When a spade is used according to its face value, i.e., a 2 of spades placed in place of a 2 in a spade straight does not count as a nut, and therefore another joker or another spade can be placed in that combination. In the sequences of jokers or the panella can only be replaced by the card for which they stand in place and must compulsorily remain in the games in which they were placed. They cannot return, that is, to the hand of the player who replaces them. And sequences eventual free mat must always be placed in the lowest position next to the player. Mat placed at the lower end of a sequence are however mobile if it is necessary, i.e., they can be moved to the upper ends of the sequence by any player in the pair. The main objective of the game is for one of the players in the pair to run out of cards and pick up one of the pits, go to the pit with which they will continue to play the next round. The second goal is to form at least one combination of 7 or more cards called a Burraco. Finally, the goal is to run out of cards or to close. This is achievable only after the pair has achieved the first 2 goals. In order to go to the pit, you have to down or attack all the cards you have in your hand. You can go to the pit in 2 different ways. The first way is by lowering all the cards you have in your hand, so without discarding. In this case, you are said to have gone to the live well, and you continue your turn by immediately playing the well. You can instead cast down all the cards you have in your hand, except 1 card which will be discarded by playing the deck on the next turn. You cannot close by discarding a draw, while instead a draw can be used as a discard when you want to go to the draw well. Possible tumbles are pure, i.e., those formed without the aid of mats, dirty or impure formed with the aid of maps, semi-clean formed with the aid of mats, but where however there are at least 7 cards in sequence without the presence of jokers. After closing, points per pair are calculated according to these values. The pair that closed earns 100 points. Both pairs count the value of all cards dropped. Each Burraco is worth 200 points if pure, 150 points if semi-clean, otherwise 100 points. Each joker is worth 30 points. Each flipper is worth 20 points, each ace is worth 15 points. Each king, Donna, Jack 10-9-8 is worth 10 points, each 7-6-5-4-3 is worth 5 points. 4 cards left in the hand points are calculated as negative. The pair that did not take the cockpit pays 100 points. If they took it but failed to play it, they pay the sum of the points of the cards in the cockpit. Tips. Here are a few tips for playing Burraco. Pay attention to what cards your opponents are discarding, as this can give you a clue about what they have in their hand and what melds they are trying to make. Try to form melds quickly, as this will allow you to get rid of your cards and score points more quickly. Keep track of what cards have been played, as this can help you plan your strategy and anticipate what cards you might be able to draw from the stock or discard pile. Pay attention to the cards in the discard pile, as you may be able to use them to form melds or to add to your existing melds. Keep an eye on the stock, as it may run out before the game is over. If this happens, you will have to rely on the cards in the discard pile, so it can be helpful to hold on to certain cards in case you need them later. Don't be afraid to freeze the discard pile with a Burraco. This can be a powerful strategy as it prevents your opponents from drawing from the discard pile, but be aware that it also limits your own options for drawing cards. Remember to keep track of the score, as this can help you determine how close you are to winning and what strategy you should use to try to get there.